A quadcopter dropped out of the sunrise like the world's nosiest hummingbird, hovering right over my deck, practically daring me to notice, and in the very next second, it zipped straight into the icy jet of my pressure washer. I wish I could say it put up a fight, but the thing spun around, clipped the corner of my not-so-cheap grill, and face-planted into my hydrangeas with a sound like a dying electric kazoo. For a good 10 seconds, I just stood there, hose running, watching it twitch in the flowers like some mechanical bug that never learned how to land. About 10 minutes after that high-tech airstrike, I'm still wringing water out of my shirt when a woman in a blindingly pink visor marches up my driveway, two clipboard-wielding minions trailing behind her like anxious ducklings. She stops just short of my front step, plants her feet like she's in a courtroom, and says, "Congratulations, you just shot down HOA security property." Her voice is crisp, like she's been waiting to deliver this line all week. I lower the hose, feeling every muscle in my jaw clench, and reply, maybe a little too calmly, "Congratulations, you just filmed my bathroom skylight without permission." Let me back up a sec because context matters. My name is Julian Park. I'm 42, I work from home doing software stuff that had put most people to sleep, and I mind my own business here in Cedar Hollow, a place where every mailbox is regulation. Every sunset smells like fertilizer and middle management, and stepping out of line means you get written up faster than you can say HOA. I garden on weekends, read books about people who aren't trapped in suburban fiefdoms, and try not to draw attention to myself, which around here is like walking around in a clown's suit and wondering why everyone's staring. The unchallenged monarch of this little kingdom is Denise Crowley, Queen of Visors, HOA board president, and living proof that owning a dozen pairs of binoculars is not a personality. Denise had fined me twice before the drone crash, once for a wind chime she claimed was out of tune with the approved frequency spectrum, and again for a basil planter on my stoop, because apparently growing herbs in plain sight is a subversive act. But this drone thing? This was new. Denise called it Airborne Compliance Monitoring, which sounded like the world's worst superhero initiative. The HOA newsletter, which hit every mailbox monthly whether we read it or not, bragged about anonymous community flyovers to protect our property values. Like that's something anyone actually wanted. But then the drones started creeping over fences at weird hours, hovering over backyard pools, peeking into second-story windows like a UFO with a vendetta. That's when I started finding little gifts in my mailbox. Not friendly reminders, mind you, surveillance photos. One was a zoomed-in shot of my recycling bin with a red circle drawn around the lid, barely cracked open, with a caption that read, "Violation. Lid ajar. Fine pending." Another was a blurry photo of me barefoot watering tomatoes at 6 in the morning labeled "Front Yard Agriculture. Unapproved vegetation." I mean barefoot? Really? Word spread fast, too. Paula, next door, whispered about dog permit violations. Another neighbor mentioned a nuisance tracker spreadsheet with timestamps of people taking out trash at the wrong hour or parking half an inch off regulation. It felt less like living in a neighborhood and more like starring in a reality show where the villain wears a bedazzled visor. But the real turning point came in the form of a letter, not just any letter, but one on official-looking HOA stationery, stamped with the Cedar Hollow crest and all the pretentious legalese Denise could muster. It was a notice of destruction of HOA property, demanding $1,200 for, and I quote, "hostile engagement with an unmanned compliance craft." I almost laughed, but Denise was dead serious. She stood at my door, visor shining, smug as a cat with a canary, and said, "We'll see you in court, Mr. Park." "Bring your flight logs," I shot back, keeping my voice steady, but I was fuming. I'm not a guy who splurges on boats or fancy gadgets, but I do keep a little emergency fund, and this felt like a four-alarm situation. I called Marcus Chun, a local attorney who specializes in property rights and privacy, the kind of guy who could spot a technicality from a mile away. Marcus started digging, and Denise started dodging, delaying documents, claiming the drone operator was unavailable, spinning the whole thing out as long as she could. But Marcus? He smelled blood. Then pure dumb luck stepped in. Turns out, the drone vendor's cloud storage was set to public access. Anyone with the link could see it. Paula next door, the one with the illegal dog, found footage of her 8-year-old doing cannonballs in their backyard pool, face clear as day, and sent me the link. What I found was pure gold: hundreds of backyard clips, families at dinner, people in bathrobes, couples having private conversations on the patios. Faces visible in nearly every shot. The file names made it worse. Lot 42 after 10 p.m., East Alley trash lid violation, South fence unapproved paint color. And tucked inside, an email chain between Denise and the drone operator. Increase altitude. They're starting to notice. Get roof angles. Focus on the houses that voted against me last election. You can't make this stuff up. I handed it all to Marcus, who handed it to City Code Enforcement. And because Denise liked to quote FAA regulations in her threatening emails, Marcus CC'd the actual FAA. Next thing I know, our little neighborhood spat has state privacy regulators and the federal government on speed dial. Court day finally rolls around, and I'm expecting the usual HOA theater Denise with her binders, residents nodding along, a judge who just wants lunch. But the judge comes in already frowning, and Marcus plays a best of reel from the drone's footage: kids running through sprinklers, women in bathrobes, a couple having a candlelit dinner, all clearly identifiable, all filmed without consent. You could feel the whole courtroom freeze over. Denise tries to salvage things standing up, still wearing her visor indoors, insisting, "Your Honor, these were all taken from public vantage points. We have every right to monitor community standards." The FAA rep, a stone-faced woman in a tailored suit, cuts in, "Ma'am, did your operator hold a Part 107 certificate for commercial drone use? Any community-based organization approvals?" The silence was so thick you could have buttered toast with it. Denise's face went from smug to ghostly in about 3 seconds. Code enforcement chimed in. "To those signs at the neighborhood entrance claiming security patrolled by Cedar Hollow police liaison. Totally fake." The judge leans forward, asks if any residents gave consent to be filmed. Denise's lawyer, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, just shook his head. "No, Your Honor." What happened next was almost poetic. The judge took off his glasses, rubbed his eyes, and delivered the kind of dressing down you dream about. "My pressure washer intercept was ruled entirely legal. I had the right to defend my privacy." The drone program? Not just over the line, but so far past it that the judge ordered every flight grounded, every clip deleted under third-party supervision, and sanctioned the HOA for record-keeping that would embarrass a pirate ship. Denise, who'd started this whole mess looking for a payday, had to stand there while the court tallied up damages owed to me: new grill, garden repairs, full attorney's fees, and a tidy sum for privacy invasion that made her physically flinch. But wait, the twist. The FAA stepped in, issuing a formal civil penalty for unlicensed commercial drone operation. The drone itself, seized as evidence, was ordered auctioned to offset the fines. And in one last cosmic joke, the local middle school robotics club bought it for $27 and a tray of brownies, renamed it Boundaries, and now fly it safely in the school gym under adult supervision. As for Denise, well, an emergency HOA board meeting voted her out 3 days after the verdict. She was barred from serving on any HOA board in the entire county for 7 years. Her community service? Personally installing huge new signs at every entrance, reading "No surveillance, resident privacy respected," under the not-so-gentle guidance of a city code officer who made her spell jurisdiction right on every permit. The HOA had to mail formal apology letters to every resident, and my letter came with a $0 balance and a coupon for a waived wind chime violation. I framed them both. Sometimes you need a reminder that justice, however rare, does actually show up, usually when you least expect it, and always with more drama than you could invent. So here's the million-dollar question. Do you think HOAs really protect the community, or just their own little fiefdoms? Ever dealt with an overzealous neighbor or power-hungry board? Drop your story below. I'll be reading them. And hey, if you believe in privacy, or you've ever wanted to take a pressure washer to your own problems, share this, because maybe, just maybe, enough voices will keep the drones on the right side of the fence.